Welcome on in. Hope you all are having a great Memorial weekend. If you guys are celebrating, if not, hope you all having a good weekend or a good start to your week, depending on when you're seeing this. It's probably going to go live on Monday, so hopefully you have a good start to your week. And today we're going to be talking about Kurosa, the new mythical coming into Raid. So we don't know exactly how we're going to get her, but Plarium did confirm that we will be able to get her in, I think, multiple ways. And they said it was not going to be a fusion. Up to speculation, probably going to be a winner of like a champion chase or some type of summoning event, I'm guessing. Welcome in, my name is PJ, and this is another Raid Shadowlands video, and let's get right to it. So this is the first form of the new mythical. They said she's going to be the boss for the new event dungeon coming out, which is exciting. Hopefully that's going to be within the next week or so that they've dropped all the teasers and they started to show us the kit for her. So I'm assuming hopefully within the next week, 2 weeks the latest, but hopefully within this week coming up. So her A1 attacks all enemies, heals all allies. The value of the heal is proportional to this champion's attack, and then the books gives you more damage. I wish maybe the books would give you a little bit of healing or something that's gonna go with the ability a little bit more, because this is gonna be her more support side. Her second form is gonna be the nuking side, so it should have been more healing, but 2 books into damage feels like a waste. It is what it is. Then we got the A2, removes all debuffs from all allies, so you got a cleanse, and then places increased attack and a shield buff on allies for 2 turns. The value of this shield is proportional to this champion's attack, and then it books down to a 3-turn cooldown. I do like how her first form and second form with the attack works pretty well together. I feel like some of the first mythicals that Plarium released, the first form and second form didn't really synergize that well, and they had to go in and rework them a little bit. As you can see here, you'll see here and later in the video, you're gonna want her to have high attack, and generally as a support you wouldn't want high attack, but because you're getting these extra benefits, then it actually kind of makes sense for her kit. Hold up guys, now is the perfect time to click on my link in the description and get a free Karato as well as 4 more insane free epics as you level up. Here's how to do it. Step 1, log out of Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Step 4, go to the inbox and claim your first champion. Don't miss out on your chance to get a free Karato after signing up, as well as Uugo, Rector Drath, Tagoar, and Mausoleum Mage as you progress through the game. So click on my link right now and let's crush this together. And then the A3 places a taunt buff and a fortify buff on this champion for 2 turns. Also places unkillable buff on allies except for this champion for 2 turns. So fortify, she's getting 2 new buffs. Fortify is going to make it so ignore defense skills on her are going to be, or not necessarily skills, but just ignore defense like effects on her will be reduced, which is nice. And then she has another buff where ignore defense will be boosted when she's hitting and you trying to kill someone. So this, she'll be tankier. Unfortunately, she doesn't put unkillable on everyone. Like you have Emic, who's a Void Lego, who does something very similar, taunt and unkillable on everyone. He doesn't have the fortify though, so it is a little bit different. I would have been like maybe to see her having a full team cooldown or a full team unkillable, including herself. But maybe they would have thought it would be a little too strong. Then we got the passive, receives 15% less damage for each ally alive, so this is going to keep her alive a little bit longer, give her more survivability, and then instantly transforms this champion into their alternate form whenever they're last alive. Kind of like Siegfried, where if she's the last alive, it will automatically transform you, but not like Siegfried where you can also transform yourself. So like combination between the two, which is good. I don't really think people liked that Siegfried can only transform when he's the last alive. I think people like transforming when they think this is the most optimal time, which might not be when everyone's dead. So I do like that you have both options. It will do it automatically if she's last alive, which will be pretty good, as we'll see her second kit. And then if you want to do it early, you can also do that with her metamorph skill. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in the first form. So obviously you're going to want to give her a lot of attack. I do like the passive. She's going to be able to survive a little bit longer. It's going to be hard to give her a lot of stats because in the second form she's going to want some damage. First form she wants some survivability, but the attack was going to help with that, give you bigger shield, give you healing, and then it doesn't really help anything with the A3. But the fortify is going to help keep you alive, and then yeah, the passive. The aura, 35% attack in all battles, pretty solid, not bad. Doesn't seem too insane, but looks pretty solid, I would say, for the first form. And then the second form, It really depends on how the multipliers are. It's a big caveat to champions and raid, the damage dealers, but we can take a look here and see. All right, so this is going to be her second form. This is her damage dealing form. I do like when mythicals have their damage dealing form on the second side, because if they do get locked out in their first form, you can just swap over to the second form and hit them hard. Your moves won't be on cooldown in the second form, and you can go in and nuke. So I do like that her damage is the second form versus the first form. So AoE attacks on enemy 3 times. If this attack kills an enemy, deals pure damage to all other enemies. If the other enemies are not bosses or minions, the amount of pure damage dealt is equal to 30% of the initial target's max HP. If the other enemies are bosses or minions, the pure damage is dealt equal to 10% of their max HP instead. This attack cannot be critical. So it's an A1 triple hitter. Triple hitters are pretty good. It sounds pretty strong to me. Obviously, caveat, depends on how the multipliers are. Off the rip, I think it sounds pretty good. Being able to do pure damage is really strong, and having a triple hitter A1 lets you get around UDKs, which can be really nice. Could help you in some PvP or in some PvE area as well, depending on what you need. And then that gives you a book for damage. 20% is actually a lot. So it's interesting. So her first form, it's 2 books of 10 damage each, or 10% each, and then her second form is just 1 book of 20. So we could have saved a book on the first form. They could have either done healing, or they could have done 1 book with 20, but that's kind of interesting. I could be wrong, but right, this is 1 book for 20 damage. The first form is 2 books for 10, yeah, or 2 books 10 each. Yeah, I feel like they kind of screwed us with the books on the first form, but she only takes 4, which is very little. That's probably some of the lowest amount of books for mythical. I think usually it's like 5 or 6, so 4 is really good on the first form, I will say that, but it feels like it was kind of a waste. Back to the second move, the A2. Attacks all enemies before attacking, steals all buffs from the enemies. Targets whose attack is lower than this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. Also, places a 25% weaken debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Targets whose attack is equal to or lower than this champion's attack cannot resist. So this is another reason why you're going to want to build a lot of attack. This is a pretty nice move. Being able to strip everything and not be resisted is really nice. And then coming in with the weaken. You do have to be careful with weaken in arena. Polymorph. Granted, I will say a lot of people are getting away from using polymorph and going into more lightning cage, but it definitely still is out there, so you have to be a little bit careful. I will say the ignore res on here seems kind of pointless, because most likely you're going to have more attack than them. So you're just going to be irresistible. You're not going to need accuracy either way. So this feels like kind of a wasted book. And then the A3, so Shatter, this is the other new buff I was talking about. So we have the Fortify on the first form, and then we have the Shatter on the second form. So it's going to be the opposite. Like I mentioned earlier, her ignore defense effects are going to be stronger, however she has that. So most likely it's going to be like if you have Savage or Lethal or something like that, maybe Helm Smasher, it's going to boost those up. Also places a 30% crit rate, increased crit rate on her. Places True Fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Targets whose attack is equal to or lower than this champion cannot be resisted, and then grants an extra turn. This is pretty strong, so I feel like there's going to be multiple ways on how you might want to build her. I could see building her maybe like only 70% crit rate and have her do this to get the extra turn right into the A2, and then hopefully the A2 is strong enough to just wipe the team. Maybe you want to build her with 100% and you don't really care about the increased crit rate. Also Shatter, maybe you don't need to build her with as much ignore defense, because she's going to get more ignore defense sets or something like that. Maybe she doesn't need the Cascades because she's going to already get a boosted ignore defense from this. So I think there's going to be interesting ways to play with her and build her in the game depending on what you need and how you like to use her. But I do think, again, the attack being higher is going to be nice. You got to be careful with the polymorph. Placing True Fears on everyone could definitely set that off. And the extra turn is really, really nice. We got a lot of extra turn capability. And then we have the passive, deals 15% more damage for each dead ally. Each critical hit boosts this champion's turn meter by 10% for each dead ally. So this is going to be pretty interesting depending on when you swap her. So if she is going to be the last one alive and she just instantly swaps over, she's going to be getting a pretty big boost, and also a big boost for damage, and then also a big boost for turn meter when she's hitting people. So she should be able to cycle through her moves pretty quickly. I'm pretty interested to see how hard she hits. If she's gonna be a hitter or not. She could be pretty good, I think, as kind of a maybe go second nuker or a little bit of a slower nuker. I think the extra turn is really nice. I know I was talking to some of my friends and they were saying, well, what if like a Marius enfeebles her she won't be as useful. I'm like, that's true, but if she is enfeebled in the first form, she can just take the extra turn, or if she's enfeebled in the second form, she can take the extra turn, enfeebles over, and then she's ready to go and smack. So she does have some ways to get around having debuffs on her, which is nice. I think she's solid. I don't think she's definitely the best mythical out there, and I'm going to be very interested to see how they're going to let us acquire her. I'm kind of scared if it's going to be a tournament, it's going to be, people are going to be going crazy. And then if it's going to be a guaranteed, how are they going to do that? Is it going to be a guaranteed primals? Is it going to be through a deck of fate? Is it going to be through souls? They have so many options, but I'm just nervous of how many resources it's going to be, because I already know they think a lot of legendaries and void legendaries pretty highly, and those are pretty costly. So imagine what a mythical is going to cost us if that is the case. So that does scare me, acquiring her. I'm looking forward to the event dungeon getting more pinpoint. She does look like she might be a pain in the ass to fight, especially if they give her some decent minions to go along in the ads. In the previous event dungeons, they've given them 6-star lightning cage and a few other 6-star blessings, which are really frustrating to face. Makes it so that you can't like strip buffs, or just makes it more RNG, which is never ideal when you're trying to get a 100% team and farm the dungeon quickly. But pretty excited. Let me know what you guys think of her kit. If you guys are excited, not excited, you guys are ready for the event dungeon. I've been saving up my energy. I got a big chunk ready to go. Hopefully it's this week. I really don't want to sit on it that long. Hit the sub button, leave a like, leave a comment, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.